I thought I'd make a video since I got time. As my wife said today, probably the people who are in BookTube have jobs and they're busy and they don't have time to make videos every day. They're working and they got other things to do. Whereas me, since I'm retired, I have all the time in the world to read and to write and to make videos. Uh, I don't really go anywhere except thrift stores or grocery shopping with my wife. Uh, I don't really have. I have one fellow here in town that I sometimes see. He was here the other day. I think we went to thrift stores and I took him grocery shopping. But I thought I'd just show you some more books on Paris. I'm still reading Paris Vagabond by Jean-Paul Gerbert. I'm still reading that. And I mentioned I got this in the mail, The Other Paris. The foreword to the Paris Vagabond was by Luc Sentet, and he wrote this book. And I ordered it, and I got it in the mail, and I've been reading it. It's has lots of illustrations, and it's all about the old Paris. And so I added it to my Paris collection. I'm really enjoying reading it. It has a map here that I can see. There's a map that I can look at when I'm reading this. So I got that. And these are some books I have on Paris that, like I said, I have a big, huge collection on Paris. And because, as I said, out of Paris comes the modernist movement, James Joyce, Samuel Bennett, that's not right, yes, Samuel Beckett, and all the artists. I mentioned Salvador Dali, and I think he lived in the United States. I don't think he always lived in Paris. I'm not sure. Anyway, these are the books. This is the first. Well, I thought I might start with the most famous book of Paris is Hemingway's book, The Movable Feast, Sketches of the Author's Life in Paris in the 20s. This is a very famous book. I found this hardback edition at the Book Nook where I volunteer. It's a nice cover. Hemingway's on the back. I collect Hemingway, but I've never read Hemingway. I think I maybe read part of his book on the Spanish bullfights. That's about it. But a very famous one. And then you have this one called Beat Hotel. Ginsberg, Allen Ginsberg, William Burroughs, and Corso in Paris in 1957 to 1963. The Beat Hotel. It says here, the Beat Hotel has been closed for nearly 40 years, but for a brief period from just after the publication of Howl, that's Ginsberg, in 1957 until the building was sold in 1963. It was home to Allen Ginsberg, William Burroughs, Gregory Corso, Brian Ginson, and Peter Orvosky, and Harold Norris, and a host of other luminaries of the Beat generation. Now Barry Miles, acclaimed author of many books on the Beats, and a personal acquaintance of many of them, vividly extracts this remarkable period and restores to its historical picture that has until now been shrewd in favor of two coasts of America. So yeah, this is the Beat Hotel. Takes about this hotel in Paris that the Beats used to stay at. And then you have this one. This is called Continual Pilgrimage, American Writers in Paris in 1944 to 1960 by Christopher Sawyer Lorcantillo. Says here between 1944 and 1960, a second wave of expatriates, expulsorites? I can't pronounce that word. American writers, expatriates, American writers took up residence in Paris, some seeking the exciting ambience of art and the bohemian life that Paris had offered earlier generations, some escaping from racist and materialistic aspects of the United States. While much has been written about the lost generation, which is what you find in Hemingway's The 20s, about the lost generation between the wars, little has been said about their post-war successors. And yet what dazzling talent was present in Paris during the latter period. Richard Wright, James Baldwin, James Joyce, James Jones, William Saran, Chester Himes, George Pimbleton, John Ashbery, Harry Matthews, Allen Ginsberg, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, Gregory Corso, William Burroughs, among those who flocked to Paris and produced important, enduring poetry and fiction. So that's an interesting book. And then you have this book here. It's called Women of the Left Bank, Paris, from 1900 to 1940. It's about these women who lived on the left bank in Paris and who were poets and writers. Like you have Gertrude Stein, Edith Wharton, Alice B. Toklas, Colette, Sylvia Beach, Margaret Anderson. This is we tend to focus on the men in Paris and the bohemian scene, but this focuses on the women that were in there. See these women. So you have that one. Women of the Left Bank, Paris, 1900 to 1940. And then this is the most recent one. I read this just recently. Exile in Paris, Richard Wright, James Baldwin, Samuel Beckett, and others on the left bank. In the spring of 1946, the black American novelist Richard Wright presented himself at the Rue de Frouys apartment of Gertrude Stein, meeting that symbolized the passing of one generation of writers in Paris and the birth of another, opening with the moment and ending with the death of Wright 14 years later. Exile in Paris celebrates the spirit of those years, the claim to freedom from racism, from sexual restraint, the frenzy of anti-communism, freedom from conventional ethics and conventional opinion. So these are the sums that I have stacks more downstairs on Paris, but these are some that I look at pretty regularly when I'm reading books on Paris. Never been to Paris. I've had the money to fly to Europe, but I think I've told you guys I'm definitely afraid of flying. When I was working, I saved up money to go to Europe, to go to Spain and France, and I had all these dreams. And when I was working, when I retire, I'm going to just fly over to Europe and go to Paris and go to Barcelona, Spain, and go to England and visit all these places that I read about in my books on Paris. And now I'm even scared to drive in the car. But anyway, I can dream about Paris, I can read about Paris, and that's what I do in my old age. So I just want to share these books. And until next time, bye.